say like,
we back. Go ahead.
never mind.
Go ahead. Say what you're about to
I'm
say.
like you now. The video is recording, and I have to.
No. What you saying? What you talking about?
No, because I didn't want to say it. Okay, I'll just say it. But I'm like, to be real with you, I'm just glowing for some reason because I know it just looked like shiny forehead, but you see it moves around. It's just
No, I was gonna say that to you. Like you got something going on.
No, it's just I think it's just this light right here.
Okay.
Like I notice it every time I'm on any video call with anybody. So I mean, it is what it is. It's
yeah. As you can see, I'm in a different area in the house today. So you know, gonna do the show from a different area today. I just don't feel like really going down to the office. So
yeah,
just doing a little something different and everything. You know, it's been Portia said she had a great time on the show and everything. Did you ever get back with her?
I didn't. She had because remember I needed to I hate to say this in case my buyers see it, but I needed a gift. And then I knew she had went out of town. By the time I saw it, because I just be having so much going on. By the time I saw it, I knew she was going out of town. So I just was like, I'm just gonna have to do something. But I did mean to let her know, at least respond to her email. But that's been at least about a month now. Goodness.
Okay. So you know, last time we talked, we were talking about different things. I know I said I just didn't necessarily have a straight up agenda today, but I know we were talking about the voter rights and stuff. Did you get a chance to look up anything?
No, I did not. You know, I said I'm winging it. I'm winging it.
Okay, so what have you found out? What have you found out since the last time we talked?
Absolutely nothing. I got so much on my plate. I won't think about that.
What do you know right now?
About what?
Because you brought it up, but I'm just saying, what do you? Sorry, what do you know? What? Because you was like, I feel like I've been under a rock, so I was just trying to see what did you know.
The rock and the bus. Let me leave you alone. You always be putting me on the spot. I don't even think. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, I was just having a conversation with you. You know, it's something that I don't feel like I don't claim to be a political person at all.
Okay.
I guess what I was telling you is that I've never really been into politics, but I feel like right now is a time that even if that's your thing, you've never been into politics, you can't use that as an excuse anymore, with everything that's going on. But again, I'm between don't know, need to know. So therefore I can't really start a conversation about it. You know, I was just kind of asking you what you had saw about it because like I said, my pastor had mentioned it and I didn't even know that had happened. And
I got you. Yeah. And then your pastor, what I forgot what you were saying he was saying about it. Because that's how I can't remember exactly. What was you saying?
That was Sunday, and I did pay attention to the message because the message reminded me of something else, but I really don't remember. I want to say it was some amendment or section of the Voting Rights Act. I don't really know. That's why,
okay. So what I do know is that they have been gutting parts of the Voting Rights Act for years, right?
Okay.
And so I want to say a couple weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, they did the last of the gut, where now gerrymandering been going on, where they, where I know you probably heard, or maybe you haven't, but where they're looking into in a lot of the southern states, they're looking to change the way the districts are formatted. So basically, you look at a district and it say, oh, like Atlanta is broken up in a way where it's mostly going to be Democrat voting. But if you break the district up a different way, you can get more Republicans to be voting with the Atlanta, if you break Atlanta up a different way. So the way they haven't done it in Georgia yet, but in a lot of states, those places that were majority Democrat, which normally are major cities, if you normally around the country, if you in a major city, it's probably a Democratic city. just because that's just the way it ends up working. You got mostly black people there, and then you got majority of the white people or other people that live there. They're a little bit more progressive. Come to find, from what I've studied, I don't know how true this is, but just the numbers that they have shown us says that the majority of educated people that have higher education and higher degrees, they're Democrats. That's what that's by the numbers. That's what they say, and so the lower the education, the more that they'll vote Republican.
Are you sure it's not the other way around?
No, I actually it's actually from what I've read. Again, I always it's always funny to me because I always say like, people be like, oh, Trump is polling at 30% approval, and I'm like, where at? Because I'm here in Georgia, and once you leave Atlanta, I'm like, who are y'all polling? Because once you leave Atlanta, it's Trump country. You know what I'm saying? So, right. I'm just like, what, and I drive, I'll drive home to Detroit, and the whole ride to home to Detroit, I see mostly Trump stuff. It's a Trump store in Tennessee, you know what I'm saying? Like off the freeway. So I'm trying to figure out where this 30%, where he only has a 30% approval. Who are they polling, and how is the poll done? So it's the same thing with that. Like, who are they polling? Where are we getting the statistics from? So the statistics that I've read has said that your majority of the time, more educated people will vote Democrat, and less educated people that don't have higher degrees will vote Republican. Interesting though. That's very interesting to me because Republicans are, all about, keeping money with rich people and stuff like that. And if you don't have a degree, most of the times, most people that don't have degrees don't have, they're not considered middle class or anything, or if they are middle class, they're lower middle class. There are definitely people that don't have a degree that have moved up the ranks and moved up places and got money. But I'm just saying, on a whole, most times when you don't have degrees and diploma, don't have high school diploma and stuff, you really don't make a lot of money. And then it seems like the Republicans are all against money, against poor people. But it seems like poor people vote for them more often than none. Very interesting. I find that very interesting. I don't know, but as far as them gutting it and gutting the Voters' Right Act, we are in a place where most of the southern states have looked into or have started to change and gerrymander and change their districting to more reflect and help Republicans win more seats.
That makes sense. That sounds like what I heard about. So
yeah. So and Georgia has not done that yet. I don't know about North Carolina because I have not looked into North Carolina, but I know Georgia has not done that yet. Kemp did call a meeting where he talked about maybe doing it. I heard South Carolina was going to do some things, and I know I'm not gonna say it was just because of these people, but there were a few college students that said that they would boycott and not play their football games and basketball games and different stuff like that if they did it. And so their Senate, their state Senate and state Congress shot it down and they didn't change anything. So I'd have heard that recently. But it's always been a fight, right? It's always been a fight for Blacks to be able to vote. And what I think what a lot of, the Voting Rights Act did was it made it easier for us to vote, made it where we didn't have to go through a lot of stuff that was going through during the, Jim Crow laws and stuff, having to have a voting tax or take this test. If you could pass this test, you could vote and all it. And they got these questions on there that no one can answer. All the crazy stuff. So that was part of what the voting rights stopped. And now I think people are scared that may come back. Only
Yeah.
time we'll tell, but I always say you if you don't remember history and remember where you came from, you're damn to repeat it. And I think a lot of us Black people have forgotten where we came from.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty much what the message was saying. Like, we do have to be careful and make sure that this isn't done like right up under our noses just because you're comfortable now.
Yeah,
You need to be aware of these things. And so, yeah.
Because that's all it is comfortable. Because it ain't like most of us ain't filthy rich. Even people that stay out in Alpharetta, you miss one or two checks, you probably things about to get rough. So people have lost their jobs recently. What they say, what it was 300,000 Black women lost jobs under Trump. Is that what it is? A 30,000, 300,000? I think it was 300,000.
Mm-hmm. I like how you put me on the spot, but I don't know. Like, for real, like, I think, honestly, I hate to say it, it's not even being comfortable. It's just more about, like, just keeping up with what you have going on in your own life. Because, like, from the time Trump was announced president, I'm just like, okay, and what? Like, I just need to get through these 4 years. Like, what am I going to do to make sure I'm straight? I guess I wasn't really thinking about it because at the end of the day, especially when it was first announced and everybody was just so stressed out, I guess you can say, right? But we didn't know what he was going to do, when he was going to do it. And I feel like, I think nobody could have predicted what he was going to do this term. But I feel like because I survived the previous term and, things were pretty good.
I feel as though I've always said that I think that I've always said I think that we exaggerate things, right? I'm not saying Trump is a prop. I'm not saying that he's not, because he is. But what I am saying is that I do feel like we exaggerate things. I remember hearing, "Oh, this is the worst it could ever get." I'm like, we were in slavery. It can't get no worse than that. What I'm saying? I mean,
well, we can end up back there.
But end up back there. But I just don't foresee that happening. And the reason why I don't foresee that happening is because, in all essence, if we really think about it, and we be a little bit more insightful in the way we do things, slavery has never really ended, right? You got people in jail that are used as slaves, and in many ways, many of us kind of just overlook it and don't say anything about it because of the fact that, oh, they did something wrong, but they're still being used for their labor and not really getting paid for it. The other thing is, if we really be honest with you, many of us are slaves to jobs and things like that we have, because if we don't keep that job and we don't keep that, we can't keep our lifestyle together. So in many ways, I've always said that the powers that be don't have to worry about putting people in slavery. I pay you for your time to be there, and I pay you very much less than what you deserve to be there for your time. And so in many ways, you are what some people try to indentured servant. In many ways, when you have a paycheck, which is a lot of things that we've talked about, is trying to get free, trying to have other ways to make money, so that if something else happens, if something happens over here, you still got this going over here. Whether that's investments, whether that's having real estate, whether that's having a side business, having side hustles or whatever, where you can still make some money. Because if something happened over here, in how many months can you survive? Most of us can't. The vast majority of us cannot survive more than 1 or 2 months. If that check stops, some of us won't survive 1 or 2 weeks if that check stops. So that's just something to think about. And I don't think Trump gonna change that anytime soon. As far as, I just find it funny when I listen to people that's poor and broke and they think Trump is their friend. I just trips me out. And I also find it funny when I hear Black people talk about how Democrats ain't did nothing for us, and all of a sudden the next logical step is to vote for Republicans. There's over 200 parties in this country, over 200 of them, that you could literally go and say, you know what, I'm gonna go vote a third party. I'm gonna go find another party and be a part of it and try to make that do something. Or black people can try to get together and do what other people do and start their own thing. I don't know, but what I will say is that it's asinine to me to think that, oh, Democrats ain't did nothing for us, which is true. I will say that they have not kept their part of the bargain for our vote. I don't believe they have. But in nowhere in my head do I think that mean go vote for Republicans. That just sounds crazy. In my mind, I've always believed this is that it's an eagle. They say that America is the eagle, and there's two wings on that eagle, a left and a right wing, and both those wings make that eagle fly. They work together. That's always been my thought process. And no one has shown me anywhere where they could change that for me, that they don't work together. I remember Jesse Ventura. I don't know if you know who that is, but he was a wrestler back in the day, and he became the governor. He became the governor of Minnesota. He became governor of Minnesota in either the late 90s, early 2000s. And he used to say that politicians and politics was like wrestling. He was like, we get out, us bad guys and good guys get out, and we fight each other in front of the crowd and stuff. And then afterwards, we all go out to eat, hang out with our families together and everything like that. And he said that's what Democrats and Republicans do. They fight each other in front of the camera. And then when it's all said and done, they still go have dinner together and love on one another and know each other's families and hang out with each other. And if the Epstein files ain't shown us nothing, that it was Democrats and Republicans all throughout the Epstein files. So
yeah, I don't know none of that.
And ain't nobody went to jail for none of that stuff that was supposedly in the Epstein file. So,
well, the interesting thing that I did see was that like AI, there was a lot of AI stuff that came out around that time that those files were leaked. Yeah. And it was almost like they did it as an agenda to try to act like what we were seeing wasn't what we were seeing. And then you didn't hear about it anymore. You know,
AI is great when you use it the right way. It's also horrible because it can be used to trick people. And the better it get, the worse it's gonna get for telling the truth. You know, you got a lot of people on the internet before we even start really using AI. We got people on the internet, people that talk about the flat earth and stuff like that. We got people on the internet talking about flat earth, right? I've never been to space to look down on Earth to see whether it's flat or the globe. So I can only go by what I know and what I've studied. But with that being said, it's almost like flat earthers act like that they doing something new. Like there wasn't a time when people thought the Earth was flat before we started thinking it was a globe. There was a whole time back in the day where everybody thought the Earth was flat, and they thought you would get to an edge and fall off the edge because that's just what people thought. And then we came to a realization that okay, it's a globe. Now we back to it's flat Earth. So I sometimes wonder is intelligence going backwards?
Absolutely.
Is intelligence going backwards? You know what I'm saying? Like what?
Because nobody reads anymore. We just look on social media, YouTube, whatever somebody with a bunch of followers tells you believe.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like most of the it's very interesting. I even see it like when it comes to things that me and you know about. Like, and you might know about the flat versus, but that's like science. I'm not, I've never claimed to be a scientist.
Yeah, so I'm not either. That's why I said anybody that come to me with a flat earth theory, I don't shoot their theory down. Why? Because I don't know enough to shoot your theory down. What I do know is what I've studied, and it would just be like somebody coming to me and telling me they don't believe in God. It's not my job to make you believe in God, just like it ain't a person's job to make me believe in the flat earth. I don't believe in flat earth, but I'm not gonna sit up there and be like, you stupid because that's what you believe in. I don't think I just noticed that a lot of people that talk about it, they act like this is something new, and it's not. There was a time when people believed the earth was flat before we started talking about a globe. So you're just going back to that. So I'm like, stop acting like you're doing something new. You're not doing anything new. And I'm like, okay, that's your theory, but I'm not into, like I said, like you said, I'm not a scientist. I ain't never been to space. I don't have a camera that I can go to space and look down on Earth and see what it is. I can only go by what I've seen. And then I'm also a person that don't believe we ever went to the moon. So I'm one of them people too. I mean, but again, that's my belief. That's my belief. I don't think so. It don't make sense to me, but that's how I think. I'm not about to try to make nobody, we can have a conversation about it and laugh and joke and everything, but I'm not about to sit up here and try to make you believe. If you believe that we went to the moon, cool. I mean, you have evidence that kind of points towards that's what happened. I have some evidence that points towards that might not have happened. So at the end of the day, some of the stuff that we do is always theories. But let's think about it like this, even with us talking about wealthy thoughts and talking about money and stuff like that. A lot of those things are theories. You know what I'm saying? Some it's theories that's been played out in time and stuff like that. But for some people, it never works for them that way. You know what I'm saying? Some people, some of the things that we have said never works for them that way. We could go through all the reasons why it didn't work for them or whatever, but in the end, we come up with something, and like most great financial advisors would say, hey, this is not 100%. This works at time. If you don't do certain things, this may not work, or this may not work for you if you can't do it this way, or this. There's always going to be some differences to it. So, just my thought process on that. I believe if you put your money into investments, you're gonna eventually make money. I also believe that some of us just don't have the money to do it with, and you have to figure out ways to get there. And some people will never figure those ways out. I mean, that's just my thought process, right? So I don't know. So I am interested because you also were talking about your, you said your pastor came from the corporate world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Financial Wall Street. So was he was like a broker on Wall Street?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So what as far as like him being in, you being at the church, because you was telling me before about that was one of the reasons why you started going to church. So what I mean, kind of explain that to
me. I mean, it's funny, like, because I feel like I told you about this church before, and you were like, I don't have no interest in going. So it's funny because, like, I don't necessarily go now because I am in Charlotte and they are, in Atlanta. I have mentioned that I want to move back. Like, I honestly feel like the church is worth moving back for, just because, like,
so you would move back just for the church?
I would move back just for the church. And I say that, I don't want to say it like that, but where I'm coming from with that is when I talk to my friends, they're like, oh girl, it's so good. It's getting bad. Like, you're not missing nothing. Stay where you at, this and that. But when I think about, like, yes, probably I'm holding on to memories from when I lived in Atlanta 4 years ago, but then to listen to the message and just to, like, hear somebody preach and, like, how can I describe it? It's not very often that I am, like, around people that think like me. Okay. And so I think the thing that I like is that when he's preaching, it's so straightforward that logically what I'm thinking, like, about finishing the sentence is what he's, is saying. So it's like, I feel like that's somewhere where, you can actually learn, you can thrive, you can be around like-minded people. These are people that are, like, again, I did used to go to the church. I did used to volunteer, but I'm not going to lie. I didn't spend a lot of time getting to know people because it is a bigger church. And, it's kind of hard when you have that. But so
Okay.
I am looking like kind of from the outside looking in, but just, from what I gather from what he preaches is like, yeah, this is probably my tribe. I do need to, it would be beneficial if I went back to be surrounded by people that are like on this mindset. That's what
Okay.
I meant by it. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, like actually
So
right now he was doing a series about faith and finances. And I know like I got an email about something like financial freedom and like what God says about it. So it's like something I'm interested in because kind of like you just said, it's gonna be a lot of people that are not gonna achieve, I hate to say it, probably even financial stability. I mean, I shouldn't even laugh at that, but it's just the reality. I mean, I feel like some of us
I
are
mean,
like
the Bible itself, Jesus in the Bible himself says, "The poor will always be with you." So,
and but sometimes we don't. Look, it's interesting because I'm not. I know you studied, so I'm, and that's probably where I shrink back, and I'm not going to have certain conversations with certain people because personally, I just don't care enough to kind of debate. That's just not my thing. I think it's
not debate, just have a conversation. Like it's not a debate, it's a conversation.
No, I feel like it would be a debate with you, okay? And there's nothing wrong with debate. I'm not talking about disagreement, argument.
About what I just said. Because that triggered you a little bit. so
yeah, you know what? It's funny because I'm gonna admit this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am so chill that sometimes when things take me back, I'll be like, and then it's on out the window. So I can't really talk about, like, I remember there was one time we had a conversation, there was something you said, I just remember being like, okay. But I can't, like, it was so far out now that I couldn't like really tell you exactly kind of what it was.
But what I'm talking about, what I just said, that triggered you a little bit too.
Yeah, probably because of that situation. I'm just telling you that I can't remember all the details.
Okay.
I just remember deciding that I'm not having those conversations with you.
But no,
I made that in my mind.
Because those are like, at the end of the day, my thinking is this, like, I know what I believe, but I always say this: belief and knowing is two different things, right?
Okay.
I know what I believe, but at the same time, what I believe is not what I know. You get what I mean by that? Like, so
I don't explain.
So like I always say this, like I mess with my mom like this all the time. I'll be like, what I do, what I know is if I'm driving into Detroit, flying in Detroit or whatever, my mama know I'm coming. You know what I do know? I don't have to believe this. I know this. There's gonna be a meal on the table for Randy Graham.
Okay.
Because she knows I'm coming to town. I know that. If there's not a meal on the table, something is wrong. My mama is sick or something going on, and I need to find out what's going on. Because if she know I'm coming to town, there's some food waiting on me.
Yeah, that's
what it is. That's something I know. Okay. Now, with somebody else, I might believe that they might, I believe they might cook for me, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
I got my belief about you wrong, is what you're trying to say.
Say that one more time.
You're trying to say my beliefs about you are wrong. Let me stop.
No.
Now you don't want to be like, well, what you believe?
No, I ain't saying. I mean, at the end of the day, all I'm saying is I'm, I have these. I'm what no one has to. You know it. You know, like when you go to sit in the chair that you're sitting in, nothing in you doubted that chair was gonna hold you up.
Okay.
When you believe something, though, sometimes you just believe it, but you still have these doubts. You still have, okay, I'm not all the way sure. Which is why I always tell people, I'm like, you believe in God, but you still don't necessarily know that there's a God, because if you did, there were certain ways. I know when I'm around somebody that they are unequivocally, they know in their heart of hearts about God. And I know when I'm around them because I know how they act. I see the fruit of what they do and everything like that, right? But I know when I'm around somebody that they have beliefs. Somewhere I can't remember exactly where it's at in the Bible where they trying to cast this demon out, and the demon says to them, is like, I know Jesus, I know that, who are you? Because them people came trying to cast this demon out, but they didn't really have the faith to cast that demon out. But
this is why I don't have a conversation with you.
Why is that?
Because I know you studied, and so I'm gonna be honest with you. And this is transparent. I guess I would almost, as long as I have been like saved and grew up in church, I'm kind of a baby Christian because I haven't really studied. And so there are certain things like, I mean, yeah, I read, there have been scriptures that have been preached during a sermon that I like, that I know, and that I go on when I need, like, I need some encouragement. But do I know every story? Do I know this?
I mean, I'm not gonna say I know.
Where I don't like speaking on it because I don't want to represent us wrong. Okay.
And so therefore, I don't know every story. I know a lot of stories, and I can bring stuff back up because I've read the Bible a number of times to bring it up. And I've studied certain things that was, certain things I've studied was interesting to me, and stuff like that. So it made me study it. And yeah, I've read a lot of different books on the Bible. I read the Bible itself a few times and things like that. So, but that was just, again, but at the end of the day, I don't think that should stop you from having a conversation. Because what you still, at the end of it, you still know things or have studied enough to know, at least have a basic belief about what you're doing. But I will say this is one thing that was always, when I was going through ministry school, that was always brought up to us was, I always say it was a guy named Pastor Scott. Pastor Scott is probably the reason why I am the way I am today, in the sense of studying and kind of trying to know what I'm talking about. And if you don't know what you're talking about, just don't say anything, or just say, hey, well, this is what I know about it. I'll defer, but this is what I know about it. But you never, and then the other thing is, the more you know and the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying?
I say it all the time to my family, right? But that's my way of like not having, like, I hate to say, I am adverse to conflict. Like, and like, there's healthy conflict, dialogue, debates are like normal. Like, people just, hey, this is what I'm for, and then somebody argues against, and it challenges you to see somebody else's point of view, or to even make your point. But this is not a topic where, like, as much as I hate to say this, because I know from the time I got saved that they say, like, you being saved is not enough. Like, it's not just for you. You're supposed to be like disciples. You're supposed to like make, spread the word. But for me, it is for me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's me and God's personal relationship. So that's why it's like, when it comes to trying to defend it, or because a lot of people that, and not saying you do, but a lot of people that debate or argue or defend against the Bible, they want to say like, oh, well, there are books that are missing and this and this. And then when I say, well, first of all, the foundation of Christianity will say is faith. And then like, oh, so it's just faith and you don't have any facts and this and that. And it's just like, yeah, at that point, what can I say? What can I say, right?
I mean, because that is what you just said, is the foundation of Christianity, is faith. And I think where a lot of Christians miss that at is that they try to make things factual, when at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's faith. It's a faith that you believe in anything that you believe in there. Because I mean, if you just go through his history or go through a historical fact, like, I can pick up the Bible and read about Jesus, but there's other books and things and other writings that was going on around that time that don't even talk about Jesus, right? And
they don't talk about slavery and a lot of things. See, this is why I'm telling you.
No, listen, I'm not trying to, what I'm trying to say is this. They don't, you're right, they don't talk about slavery and a lot of things, but you got a lot of books that actually talks about slavery. This is not me. What I'm about to say is not me trying to take away Jesus. Don't misconstrue what I'm trying to say. So what I'm saying is this, is that is that that's what it's called. It's called a faith. It's Christianity is a faith. It's a religion based on faith. There is no necessarily, it never was supposed to be about a factual thing. Like, you're never supposed to say, I know this for a fact. You don't necessarily know it for a fact. You have faith, because even in the Bible says, have the faith the size of a mustard seed. It says, has the faith of a child. Children believe a lot of stuff that children believe in Santa Claus, but we don't believe in Santa Claus, right? So, but I know some adults that will tell you that there's a Santa Claus. So I'm saying it's a faith, right? It's a faith, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you having your faith is nothing wrong. That's part of what makes you who you are, and that's part of what makes us as humans be great. Because a lot of times we are, I mean, to have the faith to build a $1 million business, you didn't have that $1 million when you started. You had to have faith to make it happen. So that's part of what makes you great. As that's part of what makes us great as humans. Is that
I know that's what made me great. It's not faith, so can't nobody tell me
you can't have faith, because everything. If you did everything based off logic, many people wouldn't start business. If we did everything based off logic, there wouldn't be an Amazon.
What is logic, though?
Huh?
This is what, like, I get, like, but what is logic, though? Logic is what society has told you should believe in and what you should do. Like, I guess it's all.
Well, okay, let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. If you believe in just what you see.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So if you believe in just what you see, that would be, in most people's eyes, logic, right?
And that's crazy.
That would be logic. And so with that being said, this is why I say what you just said is crazy, right? This is why when I talk to some people that I've been friends with for years that are Christians, when I say that, yeah, well, I don't call myself a Christian. I still believe in God, still believe in Jesus, but I don't call myself a Christian. And when I say that, they like blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, you're only saying that because that's the way you see it. That's what you've seen, and that's what you feel like you've seen in the Bible. I've seen something else that make me not want to call myself a Christian, because if you know what I'm saying, that's just me. I'm not telling nobody not to call themselves a Christian. If that's where your relationship is with God, that's your relationship with God. Let me have mine. Let me have my personal relationship with God, because I'm not trying to change you. I don't want to change you. I don't want to change no Muslim. I don't want to change no Buddhist. I don't want to change anybody. If what you believe in makes you be a good person and treat other people good, because I know Christians, like I tell people all the time, yeah, you're a Christian, and then there's a Christian down the street with a white hood on that's trying to kill you.
Is that why you wouldn't call yourself a Christian? I'm just curious.
That's part of it. That's very much part of it, but it goes a little bit deeper than that. It also goes back to the fact that when Christians were originally called Christians, it was called that out of mocking them. They were trying to mock them in the past when they were calling them Christians, basically saying these are people that believe in this Christ. We're going to call them Christians. It was a mockery. They were trying to make a mockery out of it. Now, what ended up happening was Rome adopted the religion of Christianity, made it a national religion, and so Christianity became the Roman religion, and then it spread all throughout the world. Now, with that being said, is there good things that happen with it? There's bad things that happen with it. It's hard for me as a Black man to call myself a Christian, knowing what it has been, how it has been used to destroy Black people. That's me. Again, I would never dog nobody for calling themselves a Christian, though. You know what I'm saying? Right. But I do want people, if you're going to come to me and try to tell me I'm wrong, understand where I'm coming from. I'm not telling you you're wrong. If that's what you believe, that's what you believe. But I am saying that I don't believe that way, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the way you believe. Please be okay with the way I believe.
Yeah, and I respect that. And and I believe I ain't gonna argue and talk. Like, unfortunately, I'm not mature enough to have that conversation, because I'm you know, like I can't discredit what somebody has taken the time to study when I haven't. But at the same time, you're not gonna tell me no different than what I see in my own life. in my own personal relationship.
Yeah, it's just like somebody saying, okay, for instance, Creflo Dollar recently, in the last year or two, said that he felt like they were teaching tithes and offering all wrong. Okay. And he said the tithe, the way that we've been teaching it, is wrong. And he does not ask his church to tithe anymore. Okay. Me and my mom had this conversation way back in early 2005, 4, 5, where she went through the Bible, studied, and was like, they've been teaching tithing wrong all these years.
Well, let's talk about that. Like, I mean, just in your opinion, since this is Wealthy Thoughts, and I feel like we done got real political and religious.
Okay. Well, so this is the thing. This is the thing. The way tithing is taught, in the way that most preachers teach it, or most churches teach it, is that tithing was before the law, is after the law. It is God's way. Okay. Fine. I'm one to believe this way. Jesus said, what we do know is that in the Bible, when you start looking at tithes, in the law, in the process of the law, there were certain times when the tithe had to be given, certain ways the tithes had to be given, certain laws that was done by the tithes. Jesus said, I came to fulfill the law and to fulfill everything. There's a verse later on where Paul talks about if you follow one part of the law, then you must follow all of the law. But then he goes on to say that is why Christ came, to fulfill the law. So the whole issue with the law was that it was supposed to be a mirror to people. This is what most theologians say. The law was supposed to be a mirror to people, to say you are not righteous enough to be in God's presence. You are not righteous enough to be like a God. So this law shows you where all your flaws are at. Jesus came to redeem you from that law. If he redeems you from the law and tithes are part of the law, then why would you still have to pay tithes instead of giving God an offering and doing whatever it is? If God told you to give all your money, should you give all your money?
I mean, if God told you that, yeah. Why
okay, not? So what I'm saying is God, if you believe in God and God told you to give all your money, then yeah, you should give all your money. So that's more than a tithe. Mm-hmm. And so that's a tithe is only 10%. So you're bound, to me, when I was studying it like that, I don't believe in none of that part of it anymore. But when me and my mom was studying like that, to me, it was like, wait a minute, we're actually binding God at this point. We're telling God what we're going to give instead of asking him what should we be giving. And we're telling them how we're going to give it instead of finding out how he wants us to give it. Because the fact of the matter is, they tell you that you're supposed to give it to a church or give it to your church. When what if the dude down the street need help paying his bills and God told you to go down there and give him some money to pay his bills? Is that an offering or is that a tithe or what? That's God telling you to do something. And so now I'm still obligated. I just gave way more than 10% of my money. I'm still obligated to go and give 10% to the church too. You know, it was just at some point, where is the stewardship? Where is all this stuff that we talk about and things like that? And then my other thing with tithes and offering is that where is the church's part of the tithe? Because in the law, the Levites at some point, the whole purpose of the tithe was to have money set aside for widows, fatherless, and many churches are not giving that money back to widows and fatherless. And many churches are not giving that money back to anything. They're building sanctuaries, they're building all this stuff.
I can believe that, because
people riding around in Bentleys, and people got airplanes and stuff and all that stuff. And whatever, you do your thing. If that's what you got, if that's what you believe God told you to do, fine. One thing I'll tell you is this: if somebody tell me God told them to do it, I'm out. That's the end of my conversation. I'm like, all right, God told you to do it. I ain't got nothing else to say.
I need to see those, because these are the matter of fact. I'll come back to this video Like next time you ask me why I'm not going to talk about it, this video right here.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm just saying that's why I don't. If you tell me God told me to do that, what else do I have to say? Like, who am
right,
I?
exactly. What should you be saying? You shouldn't be saying nothing. If God
told
you to do that,
tell me God told you to do that, I'm done with it. But I also know that people will use and say God told you to do something just to.
And that's when you need to have discernment. So I feel you. I see where you're coming from because.
But I know that. But I'm done with the conversation. You know, once you say God, I'm like, okay. I mean,
yeah.
What else you want me to say? You know what I'm saying? What else you want me to say to that? Like, I don't use that phrase I don't use that phrase pretty much at all. I ain't never gonna sit up and be like, oh, I heard the voice of God. I've never heard the voice of God. I'm not gonna tell you that. I've had inklings in my spirit that I should do things. I've had feelings that I should do things, and I went and did them and they worked. But I ain't
from you.
Huh?
Those feelings came from you.
No, I'm not gonna say that. I believe they probably did come from God. That's my. But what I'm saying is, I'm not gonna sit up there and say, God told me that. I don't know. I didn't hear no voice tell me to do anything. I had an idea that came in my head. I have ideas that come in my head all the time. I have negative ideas that come in my head, positive ideas that come in my head. Some positive ideas, I'm like, no, that ain't for me. It's positive, but it ain't something that I should be doing. It's something that I may need to give to somebody else or whatever. I'm not saying what I am saying is that I'm not gonna sit up here and say, "Ooh, God told me to do that." I don't know that. Because I don't know God told me to do that.
What in the words of Tabitha Brown, that's your business.
Huh?
In the words of Tabitha Brown, that's your business.
Yeah. And so but what I do know is that I have this inkling that, and I feel peace about it. And so I'll go do it. And it works out. Have I done things that didn't work out? Yeah, I have. Can I go back and look at them and say, okay, where did I miss it at? Yeah, I can go back and say that, but it's very rare that you're gonna hear me say, "Ooh, God told me," or another favorite one of people is the Holy Spirit told me to do this. It's not me trying to dismiss God or anything. It's me to me being respectful of the fact that I never want to say God told me to do something and then it don't work out and then you make God look bad. Because I've seen people tell me that. You get what I mean? You're right, but you get what I'm saying? People that are looking at you and people are looking at you and where there's great, the old Spider-Man saying, where there's great power, where there's great power, there's great responsibility or whatever, something like that. But with that being said, like people are looking at you and they are looking at what you're doing. And to me, you should be very careful with how you represent, to me, God. I'm very careful with how I represent God. I will give this example of, without trying to tell the whole story of telling somebody's business. But I remember working at a church and I told that pastor of that church, the moment that I think that you playing with God's people, I'm out. I said, I'll help you do whatever it is you want to do. If you said God called you to do this, I'm with you. I'll help you. But the moment I feel like you playing with God's people, I'm out. Because that's one thing I'm not going to do. I may go out here and do all types of stuff. But I'm not going to do that. And at one point he got to a point where I felt like he was playing and I left. And what happened after that is what happened. But I don't play like I just don't think that's cool. Like I said, I don't think it's cool when I hear people use, to me, people will say, oh, if you say the word goddamn, you blaspheming God. Well, I feel like blaspheming God is saying God said something and you don't know what God said and you think you know what God said, or you lying on God because you're just trying to get your way.
Yeah.
All right,
next question, next topic. Because I'm just gonna say this, and I guess this will be the last thing I'll say about it. Mm-hmm. to me, it just feels like you're holding, like if one church is bad or one church does something that is not being a good steward or they do something that is imperfect, it's kind of like they all get like labeled. And I understand that. It's reminding me of one time, I understand where you're coming from. I understand that that is your point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll leave it at that because yes, there are some churches, that don't do what they should do. But I do know that like no church is perfect. No person is perfect. We have free will. We are human. People make mistakes, and you just have to go where you're getting something. Like ultimately, it ends up being your personal responsibility to have a relationship with your higher power. Mine's God. So it's really like nothing that nobody can tell me. Like, yes, I've been very active in a church, not the one that I was talking about, and then I stepped away for a minute because like I just didn't want to be around the person I was seeing all of the time. And I felt like I had been in church so much that I could almost finish the pastor's sentences. And so I was like, well, I just, at this point, it's time for me to go do some one-on-one study. Now, to be real with you, it did not happen. So for me, it is best that I'm at least there because I'm getting fed, because with everything that I have going on, I'm not like saying that anything is good with this, but I just know myself, and there have been times that like I'm even guilty for like I'm actually in a Bible study that I join like every Sunday. And it's not for a particular church. We just know each other from a different like, setting, and they wanted to study the Bible. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. I've never read the Bible. So, and I'm not doing a good job on it because they be going through like a whole book in like a week, I'm reading it, but I don't feel like I'm like really, getting a study,
Yeah. So reading and studying is two different things.
Different things, right? Yeah. But I will say that there was like one time that I was saying something. I was like, yeah, the Christians, and it's like it's funny for me to say that because I am a Christian, but there are certain times that I'll refer to some things that like people like yourself may think like, like you won't call yourself a Christian because of certain things that do happen, and that people that do call themselves Christian, like there can be somebody that's very high up in the church that's been there forever that still talks about people, that gossips, that does things that do not reflect Christ-like behavior. But again, so like there are certain things like for instance, if I say like, oh yeah, I'm a Scorpio, so it just is what it is, I'm gonna give it to you straight. The Christians, and when I say that, I guess I'm saying some Christians, but a lot of Christians feel like, oh, you can't believe in God and still talk about like astrology or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So yes, I get what you're saying, but ultimately it's like my spiritual mom said one time, like, and I haven't talked to her in years, I hate to even admit that, but she used to always say, with chew the meat, spit out the bones. It's just like you got to take what you can that's going to like, because how are you going to survive? Like if you just out here surviving on your own with no type of faith, with no type of hope, with no type of like higher power that you are getting fed through spiritually, yeah, you probably are doing all those things that you
do. I'm asking you, do you feel like that's what I'm saying, that I don't have a higher power that I believe in?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that
I just want to make sure that I'm no, I just want to make sure I'm not coming off that way because I don't want nobody.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that like it started with me saying like it sounds like you are grouping the behavior of a lot of churches and just giving like the whole religion, I guess.
What I'm doing is saying I'm not trying to group anybody. There's good. Okay, put it this way. I don't even want to say that. Let me go back.
Well, how about this? Answer it this way, because this is why I said that. When you said you believe in Jesus Christ, but you would never call yourself a Christian. So that just sounds like, like there can't that sounded almost like, oh, like the Christians, like I talk about, like
because it's hard for me to call myself a Christian because of the atrocities that it's almost just like it's hard for me to live in America and be like, ooh, I'm proud to be an American because of the atrocities that America has done. It's hard for me.
American, though.
Huh?
He was born, but I guess the point is, if you were born in America, you still an American.
I was raised in a Christian church. So at the end of the day, at the end of the day, many of my faith, many of what I believe in is based off Christianity. I cannot get away from that. That's where I was raised. It's just like somebody that may have been raised in a Muslim church. I know people that was raised in a Muslim, or not Muslim church, but in a Muslim faith. And I ain't even talking about Nation of Islam, I'm talking about Muslim. And they won't, and they don't call themselves Muslims now. But some of the things they do still goes back to that Muslim faith because that's where they were raised from. That's where they got their initial faith from. That's where they got their initial belief in moral standards from and things like that. Like you just said, many Christians will tell you, oh, you can't be a Christian and then believe in Scorpion, believe in astrology. Many Christians will tell you, many people will tell you, oh, you can't be a Christian and cuss, and stuff like that. And so at the end of the day, or you must not really believe in God. You're doing this or this and that and this and that. To get over all the dogma for me, that's just me. Mm-hmm. To get over all the dogma, it has nothing to do with this church did this or this church did that. I'm looking at the whole of Christianity. The whole of it is based on what a man believe at certain times. That's why you have so many different denominations of Christians, so many different divisions of Christianity. You got this church that divided from this church. You can ride down the street and you could be 3 or 4 different churches all on the same street with different. You got this Episcopal church, this church, that church, because all these different denominations and beliefs of how the Bible should be read and everything like that. Because at the end of the day, it's all a belief system. Is all what it is. So in my mind, I'm taking that out. I'm not, and it ain't me saying, because I will step my foot in a church at any time if somebody say, hey, because I've done it. I'll go to a church at any time, and I still at times do it. I listen to church sermons a lot of times, just because I'm listening to different things. One of my favorite preachers is my son's grandfather, who passed away years ago. I will listen to or try to find some of his sermons and listen to him because of what I know he was, and I know that what he believed and how he believed. You met Eric. Eric been on here. I go to his he have a Bible study every Saturday morning. I go to it most Saturday mornings, and everything. And yes, they call themselves Christians. And they know how I feel about that. As far as me, I don't care what you do, because that's what you do, and that's your relationship with God. I'm just saying, for me, this is what makes me more comfortable with my relationship with God. And until not no man or nothing, until I get a nudge in my spirit or something else, that's when I'll change. But the nudge that I got in my spirit was that this is the way that I should go. And so at the end of the day, somebody might say, well, that nudge was from the devil. Okay. I just don't believe, because I don't give the devil that much power. I feel like so many people give the devil so much power. He more power. Some people feel the way they treat the devil, they treat him like he more powerful than God half time. So I'm so scared of what the devil gonna do that they don't do anything. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, I'm not scared of no devil. I'm taking what I know. I pray, I meditate, I do those things. I still read my Bible. I still read other books too. Because while I can read the Bible and I can get very good financial principles from the Bible, there are awesome financial principles in the Bible. But what the Bible's not going to tell me is how this perspectives go. I have to go and read that perspectives to find that out. The Bible ain't going to tell me how to go fix my car. I got to go read something else to figure that out. So what I'm saying is, you need all these things to make you a whole person. Whereas where I feel like I came up with the thought process of Wealthy Thoughts. Wealthy Thoughts is about a wholeness. It is about understanding the spiritual side of yourself, understanding the emotional side of yourself, understanding the financial side, the physical side. You need to go work out and make sure your body is good. You need to make sure your money is right. You need to make sure you're emotionally stable and that you can have a conversation with somebody and not lose your mind because they don't agree with you. You know what I'm saying? You need to have you need to be able to be spiritual enough to know that or believe that there is something bigger than you out here. You know there is something that there is a reason for your existence. And things like that. But I also know, like I've told people a lot of times, I know I've met atheists that did not believe in God that I would trust with my kids more than I would trust with some of these Christians that I've been around in my life. That ain't a knock to all Christians. That's a knock to those Christians. But just because you call yourself a Christian don't mean I'm just gonna be like, ooh, you a Christian, I believe in you. You know what I'm saying? And on a vice versa, just because you call yourself an atheist don't mean I'm gonna be like, ooh, something wrong with you. I'm just not there anymore. You have to have your thought process. I know an atheist, or maybe she wasn't atheist, maybe she was more agnostic. I know that she had a tragedy that happened in her life that led her to believe in God, because she said there's no way I would have got out of this without me having some type of belief in God at this point. So, I just know that for people, things change. And as a person, you have the right to change your mind. So, again, like you said, we just got into this conversation. I wanted to have a real conversation. So we having a real conversation, but I don't know how we even got on, because we were supposed to be talking about politics and we got off into this, but we kind of got into it because we were talking about your past.
And then you got deep because I was about to bring it back, but you know what? I got it. And yeah, because, this is what happens when you don't stick to what you know. Didn't I say I was not having this conversation with you? Like yeah, like.
But I don't feel like it's anything bad, because I truly, again, I don't want you to ever think that I'm trying to tell you don't go to no church. I don't want you to ever think that, and I don't want you to ever feel that way, because I'm not trying to.
You told me that I wouldn't listen anyway.
I think that you I think that if you find somewhere where you can have, like you said, like-minded people, people that you call, like you said, build a tribe with, that's a place that you should go. I feel that way about a lot of things. I feel that way about the fraternities, when people, you got a lot of people denouncing fraternities now because of what they believe in their Christianity or what they believe from their religion. And that's their thought process, or whatever. And if that's how they believe, that's how they believe. Is there some evil things that have happened in some of these frats and sororities? Yes. People have died and stuff like that. I'm not a part of a frat. I'm a part of another organization that people talk about pretty bad. But like I said, I think if you could go to one church and it could be great, they can have everything going great. And then you can go to another church and they are racist. Or you can go to another church and, like you said, the pastor is doing stuff that he shouldn't be doing. He might be running through the whole church, running through all the women in the church, or stealing all the money. Everything is, they're separate. So you have to go and be around the people that you can, feel like you can be around, you know what I'm saying? And build that community that you can have around you. Like I feel like you're a part of my community, right?
Don't put me in. Let me stop.
Oh, that's messed up. Okay, dude. That's messed up. But I mean, like, I feel like you're a part of my community. Like, I could call you and talk to you if I just need to talk about something, right?
Something non-religious. Yes, I got you. But I'm gonna tell you,
like, I can call you and talk to you about something religious. If I told you,
no,
hey,
look, I ain't that friend. I'm telling you now. Don't get your feelings hurt. I'm like, no, Randy, like, I gotta go.
I feel like if I told you, hey, I'm having an issue with this, I feel like you would help me out.
I'm gonna be like, I hear you. I'm gonna pray for you. Talk to you later. That's what you expect the Christians to do anyway, right? Let me see. Like I gotta stop with my joke.
No, I don't expect that, and that's.
It sounded like it. It sounded like you don't.
I don't expect that. I expect for that. That is my problem with some Christians.
That's what I'm saying. That's my point. You expect
but I don't expect you to do that. I expect for you to be a human and say hey, what's going on? What do we need to do? That's what I expect.
Well, how about this? You pray for me then, because
and that's what I expect, because I think that's the part that I think we have an issue with in general, just in life in general. Like, if a person don't
agree, you think that's what this is about?
Yeah. So if a person don't like I have a friend that me and him don't see eye to eye on some things. And we don't see eye to eye on a couple things. But if he called me, or if I call him and we need each other for something, like, hey, I got you, bro, what you need? You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, all that is just a difference of opinion. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's not our humanity. That's not the love that you should have for somebody that you say is a friend or a brother. And so I can, you know what I'm saying, all day long, if my son decides that he don't believe in God, I'm not gonna sit up there and you know, it's almost the same, like my son decide he want, you know, if one of my sons decide, hey, I don't necessarily get down with a man being with a man. But if one of my sons decide they want to be gay and they want to be with a man, I have to deal with those things and still love them and still talk to them and still whatever. I'm not about to sit up here and be like, oh, you ain't my son no more.
Let me just clarify something. That's not what I'm saying. But I will say this, and I am a work in progress, and I'm probably gonna always be one. Let me just
we all a work in progress.
Well, again, from the standard that people expect when you do, you know, identify as a follower of Christ, or you believe in God, or you have a relationship with God, because mine isn't different, saying like, oh, you know, I don't mess with Randy because he don't think like I think. Mine is, I'm not going to have that conversation with Randy because I don't want to be stressed out. It's really about me. Okay. So that's what I need help on, you know, because like, again, like, I know I should probably be trying to encourage people to be followers of Christ, but I got my own stuff going on, and I really can't defend it from the people that do want to debate it. And so for me, it is good enough that like, hey, I got my relationship. I know God knows my heart. He knows that I'm struggling. He knows that like I don't want to misrepresent him or whatever it is, and I'm okay with that. So that's why, like, for me, it's just like, yeah, like if I know, I mean, I have people in my family, like, I hate to say this, but somebody I'm very close to in my family is always talking about Trump. And it's like, oh my God, I do not think about this man at all. But every time I talk to you, you know what I'm saying? So it's gotten to the point now where it's just like, yeah, I have to be like, yeah, I don't want to hear about him. Like, I have to say that. Like, I'm sorry that I know that this is what you want to talk about. This is your topic, but I'm just not the person. Go find somebody else to do it, because I don't have the time or the patience, and it is what it is. So I'm sorry, Randy. That's all I'm saying for you. I'm not mentally mature right now for you to have this conversation with you. Like, it's just,
I do have this question for you, because we were the politics part of it, because you were saying that you're not really into the politics either, right? So what makes you, because we getting off that, what makes you not delve into the politics part of it? And the reason why I say that is because politics has a lot to do with how finances go and stuff like that, and you are a financial person. So what makes you not follow politics?
Well, I'm gonna back up a little bit before I get back to what I was originally saying. But like, just growing up, being in school, it was a boring subject. It was something that I just never had an interest in. It, like, no teacher ever made it seem interesting enough that I wanted to be, you know, I wanted to know about politics, right? And then you grow up and you start voting, and you just, when you're first adulting and you don't really know how you feel about certain situations, you just go with what your parents, you know, do. And so you do all of those things. And then for me, I started like hearing things, like I'm watching TV and you can't kind of get away from politics. Like even when Trump was in office the first time, I would forget about him so much until like I'm watching TV and then I would hear him speak on the TV and I'm like, oh my God, he sounds so freaking dumb. This is embarrassing to even have him as a president. So it's like, again, even though you're not like thinking about it, you kind of see what's going on. So the part that I was just saying is like when he was first announced, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, people panicking, but we got through the last 4 years. I'm just gonna work this out, and so let me focus on what I need to do because he's not God. Whatever he gonna do, I just want to make sure that I'm straight. But then, like I said, you find out that all these other things are going on, and it's like, hold up, like I do need to pay attention. So I guess what I'm saying is I've never had an interest and I've gotten away with not needing to have, to know about it. But now it's getting to a point where like when we're talking about like things that were placed in acts that were, I guess, what's the word? Put into law. Right. Like I don't know, enacted. I don't know, the terms or whatever. But like for like, Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King, all these people that fought for these rights, like you don't want their sacrifice to be in vain. So that's why it's like, okay, I need to like, even though I'm not the most political, like you need to be, because it really affects you. It affects other people. And when you say, how was I not involved when they had a lot to do with finance? Well, when you don't have no money, you don't care. You're not thinking about that. Like your tax bracket ain't even affected by half of this stuff, right? But then when you start doing things and you learn how like taxes work, like I didn't learn anything about taxes really till I became a CPA. And then when I learned about like, oh, these are tax shelters, this is how you can minimize your tax liability, then it's just like anything else I say. Once you know the rules, you just learn to operate within the rules. So even though I didn't know what was going on, I knew what was like benefits and strategies that were available, and just took advantage of that. But I don't know if I answered your question though.
No, it kind of answered my question. So you do vote though, right? Or
I do, but you know what? And I don't care about.
And I'm not judging. I don't want to sound like that.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm about to say, like, I wasn't talking about you. I'm talking about people that might see this. I don't care about nobody judging me. I almost didn't even vote for this last election because honestly, I didn't think neither one of them. Like, I don't want no parts of this, But I'm not gonna lie, I split the vote. I didn't vote for neither one of them. Okay, so I mean, none of the two. To be honest with you, how much I didn't even know about politics. I was talking to my mom, and I'm like, because she did tell me about one person. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch the DNC. Then I watched it and I was not impressed. And I'm like, nah, like, no, I'm just not doing that. And so, when it was time, she's like, oh, did you vote? And eventually I was like, look, I'm just not voting. Like, nah, like I don't want no parts of this. And then she was like, well, there's other people on the ballot. Like, I didn't even know that it was more than 2 people on the dang on ballot. Yeah. Like, that's how much.
And I think that's the other part that and you're not the only one, because they have us in a way where we think that there's only a Democrat and Republican party. And there's over 200 parties in the United States, because you may hear about the Green Party every now and then. You may hear about the Libertarian Party every now and then. But you don't hear about independence, which is supposed to really not be a party, but some kind of way.
Right.
I mean, it's it's kind of like a person saying I'm a non-denominational church, but some kind of way that's a denomination now.
And I go to a non-denominational church, so
some kind of way that's a denomination too. It's kind of weird, but again, I think that we come to this point where we don't really, like you said, many people don't know, even the people that think they're political. I watch people that they're just straight Democrat and they side on the side of Democrat all the time. And you think you're political, but you're still not seeing the issues that Democrats have. You know what I'm saying? So, like I have this thing. I'm gonna vote. I'm probably gonna vote for her for governor, but in reality, in my mind, she can't win.
You talking about Keisha? I don't want to call her Keisha, like I know her, but like
Keisha Lance Bottoms, in my mind, probably won't win. Not because she shouldn't win, not because but the fact of the matter is, I feel like the Democrats are playing the same playbook all over again. And the thing becomes, do you want your policies to get in place, or do you just want to win? You want this person to win because it's going to make you look good. And my thing is, like, Kamala wasn't nothing wrong with her necessarily. She had flaws and flaws just like anybody else has that's running. And she had things that people could look at and knock. The biggest problem that we tend to try to act like we don't have in this country, and try to act like, you know, and a lot of this is Obama's fault, not on his own, not because but because after Obama, all of a sudden we're a post-racial society, and we're not a post-racial society, and we're not a post-sexual society. We're not none of that, because most people in this country, black men, white men, Mexican men, Mexican women, white women, do not want a black woman or any woman to be president.
It would be great. I mean, honestly, I'm like, I feel what you're saying, but I guess because I'm the black woman, that we would want a black woman.
It would definitely be great. Nothing wrong with that. It would be a very symbolic thing. It would be great. Hopefully, if you get in office, you're not just there for symbolism and you actually do some shit.
Right.
But
black women, like, not to be racist, but like black women are very strong, and like I think we're used to having to carry a lot. So yes, it would be great. Like,
it would be great.
But
are you going to do something with your power? Are you going to do something with your power? Because at the same time, it was great to have Obama in office to say a black person in office, a black man in office. It was great to see that. What did you do with your power? Because what I noticed when white men are in power, especially with Trump, he does what the hell he want to do for his people and for himself. Okay. He makes sure
for himself.
Things are good. Right. You know what I'm saying? For the people that support him, and what I mean by the people that support him, rich people that support him, not these poor people that's living in a hovel. Rich people. He do stuff for them and he do stuff for himself because that enriches him and them. But what I'm saying is we have to live in reality also. Reality is that we still live in a country that is very racist, and the likelihood of you getting Kamala Harris voted into the presidency at that late hour was not going to happen. And the fact that, like I said, I said some black men don't want to see a woman, no woman, black woman or white, especially not a black woman, be president. I'm saying something as a black man because I listen to what we're saying. And the fact of the matter is, it's wrong. I'm not saying it's right, but that's just what it is. And so we
could handle a confident black woman.
No, most black people, most black men, and shit. I know a lot of black women that can't handle another confident black woman. So then you talk about black men. A lot of black men are not. I just got finished talking to a young lady, and very beautiful young lady said, guys don't, step to her. And I said, well, probably because they see you probably kind of intimidating to them. And people don't want to say that, but that's just the truth. At the end of the day, I know I got to have my shit together when I step to you. And if I don't have my shit together, then I probably won't step to you. Or if I step to you, I'm probably going to step to you in such a way that you're going to be turned off anyway, because I'm stepping to you on some bull crap. So what I'm saying is that's just on the relationship level. But what I'm saying is that still extends into most women are not respected in their jobs, in black or white. But we're talking about black women now, who at the end of the day, I'm not into the lowest of the totem pole type stuff. Black people are at the bottom of the totem pole together. Black men and black women should be working together, but there's somewhere where we have lost that. And I wish that we could try to get it back. But if I really look at history and what I've studied of history, we were better at it because we had to be. But once we were in a position where we could, as the word we used earlier, be comfortable, and black women could make some money, and I don't need that nigga no more, And I use that word. I'm out. And then now you have this whole thing where you got a bunch of black men that get on TV with this manosphere shit and this red pill, blue pill shit, and whatever else they want to call it. And what the Little Rascals used to call the He-Man Women's Haters Club. And so now you got that going. And so where I'm at is that in order for black people to get to a place where we got to work together. We can't have grifters. We can't have people, we listen to them and then we find out they grifters and stuff like that. We got to work together in a real unity of trying to get things done. There's a guy that I used to listen to named Neely Fuller. He passed away last year or the year before last. And he had this thing called the compensatory code. I probably have talked about it before because I talk about it a lot. And then he talks about these 9 areas of life. And some of them escape me, but economics, politics, law, religion, sex, war, all those things are part of what he education, economics, all those things, 9 of them though. I just can't remember them all. And if we don't start working towards building those infrastructures for ourselves, because we can beg for reparations all we want to, they're not gonna get that. They're turning back laws that, like you said, people worked for and died for, and they're turning them back now. Because again, Obama was quote unquote post-racial, but this country has shown us over and over again that if we get something and we do something, they're going to come back on the other side very much stronger than what it was. We had Reconstruction in the South after the Civil War. After Reconstruction, we had Jim Crow laws. We had civil rights. After civil rights, we had the war on drugs. We had some other things that happened, and then we get the crime bill that puts you in jail, 3 strikes you out, in the super predator crime bill. We had Obama, we get Trump. So history has shown us that anytime you get something that helps black people, I'm not going to say minorities, black people, when we get on the other side of it, they come back with something so much to just try to destroy any of that. Yeah. And this is what Trump is. He is the referendum for us having a black president. He is you niggas thought y'all was doing something. So here we go. Let me show you. Hold my beer, as they would say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
how many years we got left of him? Like, how long it's been already?
I don't think we just getting into the second year. We just in the second year.
Dang. Okay.
Is this just? Yeah, we just in the second year.
It's all a blur.
Yeah, we just in the second year. I think we just in the second year. I think.
Yeah, it's all a blur.
I mean, at the end of the day,
he probably be done changed it where he could do another. He just be doing crazy stuff.
And a lot of people say, "Oh, it's funny," because you get a lot of people that say, "Oh, he gonna change it where he can run again," and then you get people on the other side. Well, if he can run again, that means Obama can run again. I don't want either one of them to run again.
You need something.
I don't want either one of them to run again. We definitely don't need. We need young people, young black people, young white people that are progressive and want to do things differently. I'm not saying you got to be all the way liberal, but you need to be have a progressive thought. You need to understand that you as a white person, you're not the only people on this earth. And that treat people because we're all humans. You should be treating people a certain way. We need that. We need young people to get more involved. We need some of these old people to sit their ass down and don't
be racial. Don't be age discriminating.
No, and I'm not age discriminating, but what I am saying is that as you get older, we'll go back to the Bible just for a second. There's the verse in the Bible about the old people, young people, and how the young people are the warriors, the old people are the counselors, basically. I can't remember exactly how it's put, but you know, your job, my job as an older gentleman getting in my middle ages, going into the twilight years. My job is to teach 20, 30-year-olds how to lead, how to become what it is they need to become, so they can teach the next generation how to become what they need to become. We're supposed to be trying to be, you know, and I don't care what somebody's watching this and they love, and they a Nation of Islam. I have been a Farrakhan. I ain't gonna say I love him. I'm a Farrakhan fan though. I have listened to a lot of things he says. I don't agree with everything he say, but I am a fan with some of the things that he has done for Black people, and things that the Nation of Islam has done for Black people. Where I'm not a fan at is this: you are 90 years old, young man. Sit your old ass down somewhere and give somebody else the reins, so that the next generation can start learning how to be leaders, so that somebody else can learn. It's not your job to lead until you die. Your job is to lead and bring the next. As a leader, your main job is to work yourself out of a job. You're supposed to be building the next leaders up. And many of us don't do it. Many churches don't do it. You to see it in the political world, and it ain't just Black people. This white people too. They do it too. I think they just got McConnell old ass out the office. You're old. You still have old thinking. You don't be around young people half the time, and you're not gonna listen to the few young people that you're around, because most of them only keep young people around that's just yes me. You have to learn how to let things go and bring the next generation up. You just have to. I'm not saying that you can't still be involved, but you're involved as a counselor. You're involved as the person. You're not on the front lines no more. You're not supposed to be. You don't want a 60-year-old man trying to fight a war. You want young men trying to fight a war. You want the 60-year-old man to be somewhere in the back trying to tell them, hey, you should strategically do this. You should strategize this way, do this tactic, do that. That's what you want the old person to do. Be trying to teach you how to move a certain way. That's what I mean. I'm not trying to be age discriminating. What I'm trying to say is that there's a place for all of us. And your place is to get to a point as you get older. Older women are supposed to be bringing up the younger women and teaching them how to be women. Older men are supposed to be bringing up the younger men to teach them how to be better men. That's why we have YNs, because the ONs ain't did what they were supposed to do. We wouldn't have YNs. We would have young kings if the old niggas wouldn't be still trying to be in charge. You can't be in charge forever. It ain't supposed to be that. That's not the natural progression.
Yeah.
It's just not. That's what I mean by that. I ain't saying old people, but Trump old ass shouldn't be president. You can't tell me that there's no young man that has better thinking than that. Biden old ass shouldn't have been president. You can't tell me that there's somebody that's in their 40s, somebody's in their mid to their late 30s, early 40s, like Obama was, that could get in office and say, okay, let's move things a certain way, move it better. Clinton, I think Clinton was in his 40s when he was in office at the first, when he was in office. Even Ronald Reagan, I think Ronald Reagan was old, but George Bush Jr. wasn't that old. He was in his 40s. All I'm saying is when you start getting your 50s, your 60s and stuff, you're supposed to be retired somewhere. You ain't supposed to still be trying to run the country. It's too much stuff going on. You can counsel somebody, but somewhere in my head, it's things that you should be teaching the next generation, so the next generation can be leaders and become leaders and lead it on. That's just how I feel.
Yeah, I mean,
but anyway, off my soapbox. What you got going on? What's new going on with you, and what you planning? You got in? I saw. Hey. With that being said, I saw.
I knew you was gonna bring it up. You funny.
I saw your video. And Eric told me, you remember him from?
Oh yeah, he actually, commented.
Yeah. He told me that he was proud of you and everything and good work. That's what he told me to.
So I got to keep it up.
Yeah, so you got to keep it up.
So ironically, so that is what I'm working on right now. Trying to give more information about loans and the mortgage process and helping people get the money pretty much, so they can invest in real estate. So I do a lot, but that is where my focus is right now. So
Gotcha.
I was supposed to do a video today about Vantage scores because I don't know if you're aware, but now lenders are considering Vantage scores.
Really? I did not know that.
I know, right? That's why I was like, I did the video Thursday, I think it was. So I need to post because I'm trying to do what I need to do. You know how we go to ChatGPT and ask for advice?
Yeah.
It was like I need to post 3 times a day. I'm like, oh my God, that's so much. So
that's
I'm
a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
like I'm just I think it's mainly because, like I said,
that's how you're gonna build your following.
Exactly, because I'm a secret agent. Nobody knows what I do, right? And so it's like I need to get my following out there. I need to put it's so much content out there. Like, it's been a long time since I've done content, but this whole time I've been making this long list that probably when I go through it, some of it probably isn't even relevant right now. And like some stuff was probably about tax season, and tax season has already ended. But I feel like there's always content to post. So even though it is a lot, I just need to do the dang on video.
Yeah, just do it.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I might need to go live because otherwise I'm just going to think about it too much, because I went to go pick up some food. And I was like, since I'm outside, let me just do the video. And I was like, dang, I look tired. So of course I haven't posted it, right? So it's like, you're going to always nitpick it. But yeah, that's what I'm up to right now. How about yourself? Okay. What about you?
Well, I'm about to unplug for a week. I'm going to a conference for a week. Firefighter conference for Black firefighters. Nice. And so I'm gonna unplug for a week. I may do a couple things. I'm gonna definitely get this video edited and put out and unplug. I'm trying to figure out the next steps. I have all these creative things that I'm working on, and then I still want to do real estate and stuff like that. So I'm trying to figure out I need to back off some things and pick up some other things and figure out what a good healthy balance, because it's so much. Sometimes I feel like it's so much that I want to do, and I feel like I overtax myself because I'm trying to do so much. So just stepping back right now for a minute, just unwinding, figuring out the next moves. But for all the stuff that I already have out, you can go to IG and follow me at Randy R. Graham. And go to the link in the bio, and you can see all the little things that I have already done. All the not little things, but all the things. All the things I have done from music to books to this podcast to real estate. See those things and support me if you can, and if you like it, support me. If you don't, tell me what I could do better.
Let me do my shameless plug. If you need a loan, let me know for real. Like,
yes, hey, real your shameless plug. Let me ask you this: so mortgage loans.
Okay.
What do you know about by you being a mortgage lender? Do you know anything about SBA loans?
Well, those don't really have anything to do with mortgage.
I know they don't.
Okay, no, I don't.
Okay, but I didn't know if you knew anything about those types of loans or anything like that.
No, only because I thought about looking into getting me one myself, but I was like, I think because I have a service businesses, I'm like, you don't need no loan. Like I have minimal cost, so it's something I ended up not looking into.
Okay.
But yeah,
I got you.
I mean, it's fair. It's a fair question to ask, but I'm actually a mortgage broker, so I work with different lenders, but they are all in the mortgage side of things. Not just like. Like when I was at the credit union before, you might be able to get a car loan or other types of personal loans, but no, strictly mortgages now.
Strictly mortgages. Okay, I got you. I just was asking. I didn't know. Sometimes people delve into other things and may know about some other things. So just ask.
Man, let me tell you, I feel like I be diving into too much, okay? Because I don't know why I decided to do this. Probably because I thought it was going to be like a minimal investment because of the application fee, but then the background check and all of that. But I'm pretty much in the process right now of getting my South Carolina real estate license. So I'm like, I don't know. I just be doing too much. Like all these continuing education courses, like, what are you thinking? Because now I got to get them for the mortgage side.
Yeah.
But at least from what I read, South Carolina and Georgia have reciprocity, so my Georgia credits will count. So, because the thing is, I don't even really want to do real estate in South Carolina. It's just because I'm right here in Charlotte and it's like 20 minutes away that I've had people come to me that were looking for they were open to properties in South Carolina. And it's like, well, at least this way, if I can do a referral and get paid, like I really want to do with the real estate. I think I want to do more referrals, unless you just really, really, really want my expertise. But I think I said this before, because I do have so many different like specialties that are all related together. I don't want to do all three for any one client, just because even though I can, there's nothing like I'm not breaking the law if I did that. It's just too much of, if somebody ever was to question something, me having to like provide documentation that I kept things separately, or that I just don't want to open. I'm already busy. I don't have time to be going through all of that. So it's like, the main thing, yeah, like come to me for a loan, and we can talk about your goals, and then I can see if there is an area that I might be a better help in, and then refer you out to somebody else for those other things. But yeah, right now as it goes, I want to work with the money, because I just feel like my accounting background will prepare me for that. And then having access to, like, we have access to over 100 lenders now. Of course, we have like our top 9 that we work with or whatever. But just if they can't do it, then there are options, And so I'm just loving all the things that I'm finding out about, like Vantage scores, or like how low credit, like you can be at a 660. Now, I will say you're probably going to have to put down more, or your interest rate might not be better, but just being able to help people come up with a plan so they can be prepared, that's where I feel like I would have.
Well, that's good. I did not know about the Vantage scores. That's interesting. But that, the thing is, they have to do something to prop this economy up, because people are not buying houses the way they were. And people can't afford houses, or their credit score is messed up. And so sometimes that Vantage score is a little bit higher than your FICO score.
Exactly. Now there are still other factors that go into it. So it doesn't necessarily directly tie into your interest rate, but it might be a difference of, hey, you're at least you made the minimum, where you can even be considered. And so it's also really exciting learning about the different programs, because I was actually on one of the lenders' websites today, just kind of like trying to learn some stuff about like what I wanted to really talk about, so I can make sure I'm speaking, accurately. And so I remember when they were talking about extending loans out to like 40 years, and like there was one that was like a jumbo loan that they have 40-year terms. And I'm just like, oh, this is really interesting, or it's just really cool. So it's like
they're gonna have to do it, because people just, everything is so much higher, and people ain't making that much more money.
Right. But another thing too, like, see, I think the thing is, like, we're talking about wealthy thoughts. Like, I like money. Okay. So we just gonna go there. I don't love it, but I like it. It fascinates me. I like having it. I like being able to do what I want without having to be begging and waiting on somebody else. Okay. So
I tell people, I'll be like, I love it. And I know what y'all gonna say. The Bible say what it say. But I remember this pastor used to, I ain't gonna say his name because somebody might know who I'm talking about. But this pastor used to say, he's like, the love of money is not the root of all evil; it's the lack of money. He's
Lord. That's crazy.
He's like, you go anywhere where there's no money, I can tell you there's evil going on. So, but I will say this: I'm not so in love with money that I'm gonna treat a person bad to get it. But I do love what money is able to make me be able to do for my kids, make me be able to do for myself, and it is what we need in this society.
Absolutely.
to move.
I tell people that all the time, like everything costs everything, even water. But the one thing that don't cost, I was gonna say everything costs but air. And then sometimes you gotta pay for that if it gotta go in your tires. So it's like
Yeah,
everything costs, you know.
yeah.
So that's why I say I like money, just because like I guess because I grew up without it. I like making sure that, you know,
You know that we live in a capitalistic society.
exactly.
Do I believe I watch a lot of videos of people, talking about we need to get rid of capitalism. And I'm somewhere in my head, I hear them talking about socialism, like that's going, and I'd be like, is that gonna stop racism? Because that's the main ism that bothers us. Sexism, racism, those are the two main isms that bother our society. Capitalism itself, at the end of the day, is just money, and the racism and stuff that goes on with it is what destroys people making money and making people hoard money and stuff like that. I don't think people should hoard money. I do think that people should, you make all this money, you should find ways to share it and put it out there and do things to help. There's no way somebody should be 700 billion in, 800 billion in, and then there's people that don't have homes to live or don't have a roof over their head. That's just my thought process. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you. And I get what you're saying in general.
There's no way. I mean, I what I'm saying is he could give every person in America $1 million and still have billions of dollars left.
And still not solve the problem, though. But that's a whole nother conversation.
And still not solve the problem. You're right. I mean, what I'm saying is, no, I would say, why wouldn't you
it's
think?
just like the people that win the lottery that be broke in a couple of years.
Yeah.
You don't have like a good mindset. It doesn't matter what somebody
has a different mindset. You will just give the money back. What I am saying is this: it's not just about the for me, it's not just about the money. I used to be in this class, and this class was a criminal justice class, and they wanted us to come up with ways, I don't know, to punish, why it was like blue collar crime, white collar crime, and stuff like that, right? And it was this thought process of, well, why blue collar crime get treated worse than white collar crime and stuff like that. And blue collar crime and stuff like that was like, my theory was that white collar crime leads to blue collar crime, leads to murder, and leads to different things like that. When you steal somebody's money, when you're a white collar criminal and you steal somebody's whole and their whole retirement or whatever, then you lead those people to go do petty crimes because now they got to survive. And so and my thing was, instead of giving white collar criminals slaps on the wrist, they should serve time, and then they should make them teach classes in jail and teach classes to people on how to manage money or how to do certain things that they did. That was my theory. Not saying that it would work or that it would, but that was just my theory of ways that we could make or teach people how to do the system, how to work the system a little bit better. I do agree with you that if you just gave people $1 million, that's not going to fix anything, because they'll just figure out ways to spend it and give it back. But I also think that if you give people money and you show them ways and make them and make them take classes, make them do things to get it, I think that could work too. That's just me. Some people will never do right. No. That's true. But I will say this: I think you have a more vast majority of more people doing right than you have of doing wrong. I'm not a person that believes that humanity is just that damn fucked up.
I feel the same way. And I remember I used to feel the same way. I used to date this guy that, he would say kind of like how I feel right now. And I'm like, no, you have to, like, people just need the information. You can't give up on them. I was like that. And then the more conversations I have, I'm like, that dude was right.
So then this kind of, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this because I know you probably gonna be mad at me when I say this. But then that kind of goes back to our conversation we was having earlier, is that your thought process on people is almost like my thought process on Christians in church.
You know what? I'm because I'm not going down there with you. I'm gonna say yeah. I'm just gonna say yes.
But anyway, but I just tend to think that if you teach somebody, and the only reason I think that is because I remember reading early 2000s where in Seattle they created this neighborhood of homes, and they moved Section 8 people in the homes, and they moved they moved people from every different, you had ultra rich people in this neighborhood, you had middle class people, and you had poor people in this neighborhood. And when it was all said, after they did like a 20-year study, they saw that this neighborhood, that those poor people, the vast majority of them, it was a few that didn't pan out and they end up moving out and stuff, but the vast majority of them, because they were around people that knew how to do stuff and was showing them how to do things, they increased their wealth.
Absolutely.
They built up. And so what I'm saying is, yeah, there's going to always be a few, but a lot of times if you teach somebody, most people want to do right. They just don't have the means to, or the ability to. A lot of times most people want to do the right thing. I just think that. But
okay, because I was gonna say, like, shout out to you for being around people, like most people like that, because I will tell you the thing that I noticed when you said if you teach, we'll leave it at that. Yeah, in order to teach, somebody got to want to learn. And what I find is when I try to teach people things that I know, a lot of times they don't really want to learn it. Like they don't care about it. Like, they're not interested in it, whether it's they believe that it can work for them. But until that foundation is laid, nothing is going to change.
And so that's why I'm saying I think you have to put people in an environment where their beliefs can change too, right? Like in that situation that I talked about in Seattle, that environment fostered an environment where I saw people, where you could see people doing things.
For the ones that wanted to. So you got to think about it like this, because they have something that they're kind of building here in Charlotte similar to that. It's going to be called the River District, where it's like a mixed use type development, and where you're going to have like commercial, you're going to have like farmland, you're going to have like a school, you're going to have like single family with apartments, and some of them are affordable, or it's just bringing people together. But the thing is, you have to have people that are like, you know what, that's going to be a good opportunity. I'm so tired of living over here. Like, I want a change of environment. If you don't have that and you just win the lottery and you get the chance to go over there, I don't know. I don't like, it's just like when you think about people, like when I lived my house that I sold, townhome community, there was no rent restrictions, right? Now, the first place I was gonna buy, only like I think 10% of the units could be like rented out. You had to apply for like a rental permit or whatever. And so finding out this one, I'm like, okay, this is good, because if I want to move, that I can just rent it out. I ain't got to worry about that. I don't live there anymore. But my friend, she's like, girl, it's like the hood now. But you know why? Because you got a lot of people that are living in this or once nice area. I mean, it wasn't the best area. Okay, we talking about Lawrenceville Highway or whatever. But like you have these people that they're not taking pride in the home because it's not their home. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you can put somebody in an environment to show them something different, to show them like, oh, this is how we could really be.
I'm gonna say this too. We don't have community. You can't just put a person in an environment without community. See, I think when I say putting a person in an environment, I'm talking about you literally build community. I'm talking about you go.
How can you build community with somebody that don't want community with you? When no matter what you're doing.
What I'm saying is this: you can build. You have to try. We have to try, or we're never going to succeed, or humanity is over. If that's the case, humanity is over, because the problem in humanity is that we don't have community. We don't take people and say, okay, what you just did is you just said, But the thing is, somebody has to believe. Somebody believed in you enough to put values in you.
Who is this?
Nobody believed in you. You did it all on your own.
I would tell you this, and I'm not acting like I'm holding it down. Like, I'm a very resourceful person. And
Okay.
so I went and I've like found information. I'm just like, I'm tired of being broke. Like, you know,
Okay.
I just had this conversation with my mom the other
No,
day.
that's not money. Not just. I'm talking about morals and values and anything. I ain't talking about just money. Money.
Well,
A lot of times, money. A lot of times when you make money, you do just make money on your own. I'm
okay.
talking about being a person.
Well,
That
that was how I was raised, though. And yes, so yes, how I was raised. I was raised in the country where people, when you don't have a lot of money, where it's like it is about community. It's about, you know, we love each other. We have fun together. Like we're eating together. We're having conversations together. And so yes, like
I find that a lot of times when you start talking to people, me and my mom talk about this a lot, that the less money you have and you have to actually you have to actually barter with people next door and talk to people next door because, hey, I might need you to watch my kid because I might have to do this and stuff like that. That you build community and you're willing to help one another. And sometimes the more money you get, the less you're willing to build community because I don't need nobody, because I can just pay somebody to do this. And so what I'm saying is that we have to, even as we make money and we do things, we still have to build community. We have to figure out ways to build community and bring other people in. I'm not saying everybody ain't gonna do right. That's just what it is. That's human nature. Everybody's not gonna do right. But I just have to, somewhere in my head, and maybe that's my faith. That's where my faith lies. Is my faith does lie in the fact that somewhere in my head that we can work better together to build community to where we can make people. I'm not sitting up here acting like, ooh, every time I see a homeless person on the street, I give them money. I don't, because I'm looking at you and I can tell that you probably just gonna take that money and go to the liquor store. But what I am saying is that sometimes I look at them and say, I wonder what collapsed to make you get here. What collapsed, not just in society, what collapsed in your home life, in your mental status, all those different things that made you get here. I wonder that for selfish reasons, because I don't want that shit to happen to me. And then I wonder that also for humanity reasons of how, when I get more money, how do I help, even if it's 2 or 3 of them, how do I help them to get that back together? Because you get what I'm saying? Because the whole purpose to me of making money is not just to go on trips. Yes, I'm going to go on trips. Yes, I do go on trips. Yes, I do. I like to spend money on having nice things in my home. Yes, but then the whole purpose to me of money is to help the next generation, not just your kids, but it takes a village to raise a child. And the problem that we have forgotten that. We have lost that thought process.
So this is what I'm going to say on this, because we are definitely, we're 2 different people. We're going to be different, right? Yeah. I think the difference between me is, one, no matter how much money I ever get, I'm not going to waste money. And I know for you that wouldn't be wasting money, but I'm like, again, if you can teach someone to fish, I'd rather teach you how to fish than to feed you. Okay. Because you need to be self-sufficient without me, And so my thing is this, I want to teach people. And unfortunately, if you don't want to learn, then that's on you.
Okay.
I don't have the patience for it. And going back to the homeless person, I'll say this. I think that was the first thing I'm thinking, we're different. Like, I'm the type of person that I want to do something for them. And I feel very compassionate about them, but that's where it stops, because I don't want to make them because what I really want to do is be like, oh, like, how can I help you? This and that. But the person that doesn't really want help, that just wants to have a conversation and play like they need help, I don't have no patience for that. That's just me.
I get that. No, I don't have patience for that either. But I'm talking about when you sit down, because I've sat down and had conversations with homeless people before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm talking about when you sit down and you have the conversation and you realize, like, if I could get this person in a home, if I could get them some psychosocial services, if I could get them, you're not going to fix things just with money. I'm not talking about giving people money just to give them money. I'm talking about psychosocial services. I'm talking about putting a roof over somebody. Sometimes putting a roof over somebody's head is enough psychosocial services just because that right there can, because the what is that, the hierarchy, whatever that hierarchy thing, I can't remember the name of the person, but that's one of the main things is
Maslow.
There you go. That's one of the main things is having security, having a place over your head. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes that right there just can help you to start thinking more clearly.
I agree.
You know you got somewhere to live. You know what I'm saying? And you know, but you got to give people more than just money. You got to give them, when I say teach, I'm not just talking about giving you money. I'm talking about, but part of that is money. It takes money to teach people because you got to have resources. You got to have things to teach them with. If I'm going to teach you how to start a business or not even start a business, if I'm going to teach you how to be a carpenter, I got to have resources to teach you. I got to have wood. I got to have nails. I got to have all that cause all that.
To meet their immediate needs too. I get it. I guess my point is like,
I'm
not against helping people, but I just don't feel like everybody can be helped. And this has nothing to do with homeless or poor or black or anything like that. I'm just saying in general, I used to want to believe, but I realized that people are so stubborn and stuck in their ways and they don't want to listen. It's just like, and I hate to even bring him up in this because it's like he don't need to be catching no strays, but when the clip where Iyanla Vanzant is asking DMX, like, do you want to be sober or you think you could ever be sober? He's like, well, why would I want to do that? And that's his right. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you let people be who they want to be. Like, I'm not in the business of not trying to change nobody, because I have tried to be like, you know, I see people, I'm like, dang, like, when I was your age, if I knew what I knew now, and I'm trying to tell them, and they just could care less. I respect that. Live your life, baby, because I had to live mine. When people tried to tell me stuff, I wasn't listening. So you know what? I'm gonna keep because the problem is I care too much.
Watch this. When people try to tell you stuff, you wasn't listening, right?
I wasn't.
But do you remember things that people try to tell you? Did they sow a seed that grew one day into who you are today? If they wouldn't have said something,
maybe my grandma with the church, but I didn't have nobody. Like, I mean, okay. I know I said I like money, and I can't think of no other situation outside of money right now. So I'm not thinking like nobody gave me any tools. Like, I figured out a lot of stuff on my own, which is why I'm
But you said people told you stuff and you weren't listening.
Yeah, and I can't tell you what they told me because I wasn't listening. When I say I won't listen, I won't listen. I didn't care. I was living my life doing what I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? It was like and I say this because, again, not to be focused on money. When you grow up without money, you know, like my mom was a single parent. She had 2 kids. So everything was like, I'm not buying that. I'm asking for Nikes. I'm not buying that designer stuff. You would have thought I was asking for like Moschino, DKNY, like all of that type of stuff. So when you grow up without that and you're like, dang, I just want to have such and such. So now my focus is how can I get it? Right. And so I feel like once my mind kind of went there and now I'm like 18, I have my own money. At this point, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. So it didn't matter what anybody was trying to tell me. I'm grown now. So yeah, I really honestly don't.
No, I get that. I mean, I want to have starter coats when I was a kid. I wanted to have Nikes. I want to have Jordans. Yeah. My mom wasn't buying none of that because we didn't have that kind of money.
Exactly. So when I got money,
my mom started making some real money about time I was about 16, 17. But again, my mom wasn't about to buy all that stuff because she was like, no, I still work hard to make this real money. Yeah. But I remember the days when we came home and the lights was out. You know what I'm saying? I remember those days. I also remember the days when I was, 16, 17 years old and she bought me a Coochie sweater. You know what I'm saying? I remember those days. So it's what I'm saying is I remember those days, but that was far and few in between. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't going to spend all that money on me and things like that. And she did what she could do. Did I have a better life than some? Yes. Did I have the best life? No. We wasn't poor. We were poor when I was young, but by the time I was a teenager, we wasn't poor. But we definitely wasn't rich either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so
I thank my mama because honestly, it made me resourceful. Like, you know,
yeah,
like
and
it's
that's
no
what I'm saying.
sad story.
It made you resourceful. So when I went, I bought my first starter jacket. By the time I got my first starter jacket, it was me buying it and they were out of style. But I wanted the starter jacket so bad that I went and bought one. I bought
Exactly.
one and people liked it or whatever. And I was about 17, 18 years old. So I get what you're saying. But I'm just
Actually, I thought about one when my aunt tried, like we said, somebody tried to tell me that I didn't listen to. Like I had to think back though, but it was like when I first got a job and it's like, oh, you need to contribute to your 401k and this and that. I guess I still don't really believe in 401. I mean, I do. If you got a job and that's the best you can do, like, you know, like let me not say it like that. That's the best you can do. But I say this: if you have a job and they have like a company match, a good company match, and you know, then yes, contribute up to that. But other than that, I don't care. But that's an example of, I guess, something that somebody tried to tell me. But because I was so focused on, I need money to survive because I didn't like how it felt to not have it. What are you talking about? Getting some money taken out of my paycheck that I can't touch for years? Like, yeah, I wasn't listening to none of that, you know? And then by the time I did learn about tax, I'm like, matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it, there was this older lady that I worked with. She used to do taxes, Penny, and she tried to tell me about a Roth IRA. So now fast forward too, I'm like, dang, I should listen to Penny. But you know, those types of things. Like somebody was trying to give me financial advice.
and the only reason I say this is I just have this belief that people, if people don't plant seeds, no, it's very rare that you have a thought that didn't come from somewhere else, whether it was you watched something, whether you read something, whether somebody said something to you, but you watched something or read something because somebody put that out. And even if it was just somebody that you didn't know, it was somebody that said, you know what, I'm going to give this information.
Yes.
And I'm going to put this information out. It ain't necessarily they said it straight to you, but a book is information that somebody wrote because they felt like I could help somebody with this information. And so that's what I mean by that. That's what I mean. I think what I'm trying to say is that I just have this belief that we are nothing without each other. We do things, but there's a collectiveness to this.
And everybody got a role.
Everybody has a role, and if people don't do their role, that's what makes society breaks down. That's why we have such a breakdown, because if I can't eat, if I don't have a roof over my head, if my kids are on the street, I'm not thinking about doing no role to help nobody else. But then there's people out here that's got 5 yachts and blah blah blah, and all we saying is help a nigga get a house. I mean, not a house, help a nigga get just build a community center for a nigga to live in. I don't know. All I'm saying, I don't know. All I'm saying is if you don't give people the basics, it's gonna be hard for me to listen, to the next thing. And I don't get me wrong, some people do have the basics, and I do think some people do stupid stuff because they don't know no better, or because, like you said, I didn't have this, and so now I got it, and I'm just gonna do what I want to do. But a lot of times when I talk to people from the hood, people that have been to jail, people and stuff like that, the first thing that they'll say is, I remember because they start thinking about it, and they remember when so-and-so told them so-and-so and so-and-so. I wish I would have listened. And so then the next thing that I'll be thinking is, okay, now that you know that, why don't you give that information to somebody else? Why don't you go get that information to a 16, 17, 15, 16-year-old person that don't have that information to help them out? Because many times in the hood, the reason why you don't see, that people like, there are opportunities. It is opportunities, but no one is teaching them how to get. I was watching this video where the dude was talking about, he works at the black school. I don't know if you saw this video, but there was a video dude was talking about he's a counselor at a black school, and they got all these scholarships. And one of these kids from the black school had a 4.0 and didn't have no scholarship. And he was like, well, how do you don't have no scholarship? And then he said he went to the white school and he noticed that the counselors at the white school, they wasn't waiting on the kid to come to them. They go get the kid like, hey, I found this scholarship for you. I already started filling it out. This is what you need to do. And they walked them through the process. A lot of times we don't want to walk each other through the process because we feel like, oh, well, you need to go find it out. Well, sometimes you do need to go find it out, but sometimes maybe you need to push people along. Sometimes push them until they can go on their own. Like you push people on bikes when they try to learn how to ride the bike. And I'm not saying everybody's gonna do that, but what I am saying is that it makes no sense that a kid. It makes no sense when a kid don't know any better. They don't know what they don't know.
Well, you're not passionate. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. I feel like it's getting late and we talking about a lot of different things. But I will say this.
Look. Hey.
No. But you can't know before because I just want to make sure that we're clear on this because I feel like how you felt a little bit misunderstood. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm getting misunderstood. But I'll just say this. Regardless, I'm just gonna say this last piece. Mm. My role in that is my content. And for the people that want the information is there because I do not have the patience to keep caring more about the people that I'm meeting. And I hear, oh, well, this, and this. And I'm like, oh, well, did you know this? Or did you this? Or you could do this. And they just, woe is me. Like they don't want to do nothing about it or not tell me more or email it to me. Like they generally don't have an interest. And that is draining for somebody like me. When you meet people, don't really even know them, but you care more about their situation than they do. So that is why I do need to do the content because yes, I have so much information that needs to be out there, but I don't have the patience to hear no excuses or be around inaction. I already got my own struggles with, I got so much stuff that I'm juggling with that I don't even like my own inaction. You think I want to ask somebody else that I'm dealing with, that I'm trying to help, that don't want to care about their own stuff. So yes, I get where we're going with it. I do want to help, but that's all I got for right now.
And this is part of the content too, like just talking about different things, you know what I'm saying, and getting information out, or even just having a difference in opinion and speaking those and talking those different opinions out and talking them out in a way that no one's getting angry. We have that's content in itself because so many people get on these things and next thing you know, nigga this, bitch this, and you got none of that is necessary, right? You can have a difference in agreement, and still have a conversation.
Because I feel like ultimately we both have the same mission. It's just a different way. Like if they need somebody that's gonna be there and have the patience and hey, I'm gonna follow up with you. I feel like that's you. That ain't.
And then the thing is this. It's all about sometimes challenging someone or challenging someone's thought process is not necessarily disrespecting them either. It's just, hey, did you ever think of it this way? Did you consider this? Did you have you thought about it this way? So and once a person say, hey, that's too much for me, it's too much for them. But you're doing what you can do. And that's all you're asking. That's all. That's at the end of the day, that's part of, to me, back to what I said, part of the humanity of it.
And on the way out, let me go ahead and solidify your belief on Christians and quote my girl Cardi B and say,
out of all people,
and be like, I don't want to hear excuses. That's the difference in me. Like,
I can't Christian person that we could have chose. The most
fake Christian and she like Cardi B. I don't want to hear excuses though. That's what I'm trying to say. Like when she be like, what? I don't want to hear. Like that's my problem. I'm gonna be real with you. But again, that has nothing to do with me looking down on anybody. I'm just a really hard person on myself. Even sometimes where I'm like, dang, I got to do this, and that, and I'll be like, I don't even want to talk to people about it because I'm tired of hearing myself say the excuses. I don't want to repeat.
I feel like I'm hard on myself. I feel like I don't give myself enough grace a lot of times.
Exactly. If I don't want to hear from me, I sure don't want to hear from me.
But what I don't do is I also understand that I'm more high functioning than a lot of people. there's things that I do. I can go to bed right now, wake up in 3 hours or 4 hours, and then go drive somewhere for 5 hours. You know what I'm saying? I know I can do that because I'm wired that way. I'm wired. I'll get up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and go work out or read a book or do something else that I need to do. I'll do those things because I'm wired that way. And a lot of people are not. And so I don't expect people to be on my frequency a lot of times. Because if I did that, if everybody was on my frequency, I feel like everybody was on my frequency, we probably would. It would be crazy because I do too much.
Yeah, that part. And that's another reason why I gotta.
But what I do understand is even though everybody ain't on my frequency, I can show them something, or I could do things for them. And so with that being said, like I said, we doing the content, you doing your content. I want you to keep up the content that you're doing because that was good.
Oh,
and
thank you.
And we will see each other back here next month on Wealthy Talk.
Yes.
Hit her up, S Spice Realty. Hit me up, Randy R. Graham on Instagram. Both of us on Instagram. We out. Peace.